Hey everyone, so welcome back. My name is Douglas Johnson. If you're new here, I'm an ordained minister, yoga teacher, and I share about all things spirituality related, techniques, meditation, all of those types of things. So if this is the type of content that interests you, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post a new video. And if you're interested in supporting me and the work that I do in the community, then please check out my Patreon page. The links are in the description below. All right, so today I wanted to share a little bit about what the world needs from you. And I've spoken a little bit about this in the past, but I think it's time to revisit, reiterate what I was talking about. Many people, I think, join the community, they start watching videos, and they don't go back and necessarily review. I've also learned over the years that it is very necessary to repeat. One of my teachers likes to say repetition is the mother of clarity. And I like that. I don't know that I'd heard anybody else share that quite in that way. And I think he's absolutely right that in our culture, we tend to think, okay, I study something, I memorize something, I take a test, and it's on to the next thing. And I see this in my teaching as well. I see people who they come on one retreat, they learn meditation, and then they're off to the next thing. But for most people, your relationship with your spiritual teacher, especially your meditation teacher, if you have one, this will likely be an ongoing relationship and possibly a lifelong relationship. So, one of the things that comes up when doing inquiry with people, and it comes up not too infrequently, is the reverse inquiry. I don't need to suffer for others to be happy, or I don't need to suffer for others to be okay. So what is this? What are we talking about? Well, many people believe that they need to give up their own happiness in order for the ones they love to be happy. And I think this is a fairly common belief actually in our culture. What the ego tries to convince us of is that we're in a sort of zero-sum game. I'm not sure that's the right term for it, but basically I only gain when you lose and vice versa. If you're gaining, then I'm losing. And so with this perspective, we might think that in order for me to be a good parent, I have to give up my own freedoms, my own joys, what I would like to do, the way I would like to live, in order for my children to be happy and healthy. I think this is really, really common, actually. Now, I do want to clarify right here at the beginning that I am not advocating for selfishness. I am also not advocating for do whatever you like. So I think many people might hear that. I'll just clarify, that's called hedonism. And that isn't what I teach, and that's not what I'm advocating for. I am certainly not advocating for hedonistic behavior. I'm not advocating that you just doing whatever you want to do or feel like doing, that's going to be the best thing for you, let alone other people. Okay, so when it comes to spiritual teaching like this, I really want you to keep in mind how nuanced it can be. So again, I've been doing this a long time, folks, and it's very common for people to hear something like this and either hear what they want to hear or just the opposite. They take offense to what they think I'm saying and then just, shut it all down. So I'm going to encourage you to avoid that, because there's a lot of value in what I'm trying to share with you. And if you can understand it and glean what I'm talking about, I think this can really help you and help the world. That's really what this talk is about. So this belief that I need to sacrifice myself, this is martyrdom. I need to sacrifice what I want to do for the betterment of others. In my experience, this is absolutely not what we want to be doing, okay? I will say that it is true that in my experience, very often when we do for others, it actually brings us more joy than when we do something just for ourselves. But this is the crux of what I wanted to speak about today, and that is the greatest gift you can give to the world, to your children, to your partner, is to be your best version of yourself. And for most of us, we are not. We simply are not. We maybe have never been, and we don't know how to be the best version of ourselves. And this is why getting on the spiritual path, a real spiritual path with a real teacher, and exploring the depths of the self and the self-identity and all that comes with it. When we really learn how to do that and how to truly make ourselves peaceful, joyful, in a sustainable way, we naturally find love and compassion arising from within us in a very profound way. And we naturally want to share with others. That's just a natural thing that arises in my experience. If it's a real awakening, if it's legitimate, then we're going to find this happening sooner or later. It may not happen immediately, but sooner or later we're going to find that naturally arising. And so that type of loving, that type of compassion, that type of giving is different than the martyr. This is someone who is sharing because they find that sharing enriches them. And you'll hear people say this, right? You'll hear people say this. But then you see how much they're suffering. You see how much they still perceive themselves to be sacrificing for the benefit of others. And this is the difference. The person who's coming from the place that I'm speaking of doesn't really see it as a sacrifice. They see helping others, giving to others as a joy. There's nothing they would rather be doing ultimately. So what I'd really like to emphasize is for most people, they are going to need to spend some time and some energy nurturing their relationship with their true self. Now, so again, this isn't about hedonism. It's not about self-indulgence, although it might look like that from the outside at times. But really giving yourself permission and taking time to really find your peace and joy. Taking time for yourself. And again, I'm not talking about the egoic small self, but our true nature. And again, it may sometimes look the same. But coming on a yoga retreat, taking time for yoga class, taking time to meditate, nurturing that connection with your true nature. And again, sometimes that's going to look like getting outside in nature. I find that hiking, walking in nature is one of the ways that I am most easily able to connect with spirit and with my sense of true nature. Okay? So again, if I actually want to be of service to others, taking the time to do that is actually going to be the way. And again, this is my experience that I'm sharing with you. That's going to be the way that I'm going to be able to do it. Not by wearing myself out, trying to give everybody what they think they need from me. And this is an important point as well, is the people who we love and the people who maybe feel like they need us to do certain things, we actually aren't really serving them when we give them what they think they need from us, okay? And again, this is a generalization, so nothing as a generalization is always going to be true. So please just, again, think of context. Don't paint with too broad a brush. But basically, oftentimes people think they need us to do things, want us to do things, because they're coming from a mindset of lack or a victim mindset, that they think that they have been put upon somehow and they need us to put it right. They may think they've been put upon by us, or they may see it as someone else has put upon them, and they need us to come in and save them. Well, one thing you may not hear that often is that when we buy into that story or that belief, we may actually be robbing somebody of their strength. We may actually be affirming to them, yes, you are a victim, you are weak, you need me to come help you, whatever it is. And we don't really want to do that. We really want to be affirming that everybody has a deep, deep well of strength inside of them that they just may not know about. They just may not be in touch with. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Taking the time to connect with that spirit inside of you. The indestructible, the immutable, the eternal. Okay? So this is ideally where we're coming from when we are helping people. And again, just by always being there for somebody when they think that they need us. Again, a lot of us think that that's love. But which is more loving? Teaching somebody that they are weak and that they need me, they need you. You're weak, you're a victim, and you need me to save you. This is just ego stuff, folks. This is, you can look at the Enneagram. And if you look at the Enneagram, there's certain personality types where that's their modus operandi. That's how they find value. Now again, the ego tries to find value by what it does, how other people view it, how other people appreciate it. Spirit knows its intrinsic value. It just knows that it doesn't need to do or say anything for anyone, that because God created spirit, if that's how you want to think of it or put it, it has value. It's intrinsic. So not only is spirit have an intrinsic value, so I don't need to be helpful to be valuable. I don't need to be pretty. I don't need to be smart. I don't need to be productive. I inherently have value. It just comes with the territory. Additionally, other people are much stronger than they may believe. Now again, please don't paint with too broad a brush. I'm not saying you shouldn't help people, okay? But again, oftentimes actually helping people isn't going to be giving them what they think they need from you. So in other words, someone who has a real consciousness of lack and they're always asking you for money, and maybe you give them that money, you might be thinking, well, I'm helping them out. They're lacking. They don't have money. They don't have resources, and so I'm helping them out. But there's the old saying, you know, teach someone, give somebody a fish and you feed them for a day. Teach someone to fish and you feed them for a lifetime, right? And so this is what we're touching on here. Can we teach people to fish, spiritually speaking? Can we teach them that they are stronger than they believe? Now, granted, just because you don't help someone the way that they want or wish to be helped, it doesn't mean they're automatically going to learn this lesson. But again, these things can be very nuanced. The way that you speak, the way that you approach the subject, all of that can be teaching. And what A Course in Miracles teaches us, and that I agree with wholeheartedly and I really like, is that we're always teaching. We're always teaching. The question is, what are we teaching, right? Love or fear? This is pretty much it. If you saw one of my latest talks, I mentioned that, love or fear, okay? So again, when you reach out to me for help from a place of weakness, lack, doesn't mean I can't help you. But in helping you, am I simply enabling you to go on believing yourself to be weak, fragile, lacking in abundance, lacking in opportunity? Or is there a way that I can maybe help you and teach you that that's not the case, and that you can find strength within yourself? Doesn't mean others won't play a role in helping you by any means, but that you have everything you need. You are not the victim of your situation. So again, two aspects to this. One is your ego gets value by helping others. This is one possibility, okay? Remember, look up the Enneagram, look up the Enneagram types. You can try and identify which Enneagram you are. So certain Enneagrams, again, this is how their ego gets its self-worth, gets its approval. I'm the helper. I'm the savior. I'm the one that swoops in and helps people. Now again, my job, I do a lot of this, right? So again, it's not a what are you doing thing. This is a how are you thinking about what you're doing, okay? So again, when you're not able to help somebody or give them what they want, because again, a lot of times the help is coming in the form of, running to someone's aid when they call, helping somebody with what they think that they need. So again, how am I viewing this? What do I think is happening here? Do I feel like it's my responsibility to do that? Because again, I don't need to suffer for others to be happy or to be safe, whatever it might be. This is something that comes up for people in inquiry. Again, it's not uncommon. So this is again, if you'd like to do inquiry with me, reach out. And that's something that I can do with you. And it's something that usually people pay me for. But again, if you are really, truly hard up, then I will work with you. We'll work something out. We can at least do a little bit of inquiry together for you to learn the ropes. So this is one question to ask. And again, these are practices. These are things, a lot of the stuff that I give you guys are practices that you simply do as you live your life. There are practices that I recommend, like meditation, yoga nidra, things that you sit down and you actually do, pranayams, chanting. These all have a huge amount of value. I'm not trying to devalue them, but you're only going to be able to spend so much time each day actually chanting, right? Let's be realistic here. Actually doing asanas or postures, actually meditating, actually doing yoga nidra, even listening to these talks, it's going to be limited. So the most powerful practices in my mind are the ones that you carry with you. So this is one that's definitely worth looking at. You can do the inquiry, what we call a reverse inquiry, which is, I don't need to suffer for others to be happy, for others to be safe, for others to have what they need. And if you get a no, then immediately you know, if you get a no, meaning, yes, I do need to suffer, I do need to give up my happiness, I do need to. And again, I hear a lot of parents, when they're speaking, this is how they're speaking. That they don't hear it, they don't see it, and they don't realize that there's a belief, an unconscious belief there, an idea that they're just taking as a given. It doesn't mean it's true, but they just think automatically it's true. We need to question everything, folks. We need to question everything. Even a belief like, in order for me to be a good parent, I need to sacrifice and suffer, okay? So again, I'm not telling you to start going crazy and being hedonistic and ignoring the needs of your children, but why is taking care of your children causing suffering? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. It should be a joyful thing, okay? Even when we give up what we personally would like to do, that should bring us joy. And I do that all the time in my loving relationships, all right? I'll have a preference of what I'd like to do, but when I clearly see that the person I love, the person I'm relating with, needs something else, I will give that up willingly, happily, to serve them. So this is one aspect of it, right? What am I getting? In inquiry, we call this utility, right? So what do I get by believing that these people need me, that the world's going to come apart for them if I don't show up, if I don't do whatever it is? Okay. Now again, I can already hear people saying, "Oh, but I'm a parent and my little 3-year-old," and yes, of course. Okay. Again, this is more about psychology. How do you view what you're doing? If you have a breastfeeding baby and you don't come home and you go out for a drink, yes, you may endanger your child's life, okay? So again, let's not be silly. I hope none of you think that I'm advocating for that kind of behavior, okay? So again, this is much more about our heart and our mind, how we see what we're doing, and whether what we're doing, the choices we're making, and how we see what we're doing, is that bringing us peace and joy? Because that's what the world needs from you, okay? It needs you to be peaceful and joyful. So again, putting yourself first. And when I say self, I'm not just talking about your small self, your egoic self. I want to go, to the Bahamas. I want to go to the beach. I want to lay down. I want a cup of coffee. Okay, that's not necessarily serving spirit. Now, I'm not saying maybe, again, depending on your attitude, maybe a little self-indulgence is needed. Because again, we might have a very strong program telling us that that's not allowed. So for some people, actually, that may be just a ticket. They may need to break that program. They may need to be self-indulgent for a little while to realize that, oh, wow, the world didn't fall apart. Oh, people don't need me, okay? It may be a surprise to us, but the world will go on without us, okay? If I disappear right now, the world will go on. It'll be just fine without me, okay? So I think it's again, we are giving ourselves a false sense of importance when we believe that someone is going to suffer or be in a big bind without us, without our help. It's not to say we can't help people. It's not to say we can't play a part in really transforming someone's life or helping someone. I've had people help me at just the right time, and it's been such a huge help. But that's more coming from a divine hand. And sometimes it's people who are complete strangers to me. It's not my best friend, it's not my family, it's someone who I maybe didn't even know, and in a bind they show up. Okay? So again, just keep that in mind. The other part of this is what you're teaching the other person. So teaching the other person that they are weak, that they need you, that they lack in abundance. This is something you want to be very mindful of. Now again, it's not saying you can't give someone a loan when they need a loan. You can't give somebody a hug when they need a hug. You can't nurse someone who is sick. You can't give someone a spiritual session or lesson or counseling when they feel they need it. Again, but the attitude that we take in inquiry, which is what I've been doing a lot of lately with people. I learned from my teacher, Scott Killaby. In inquiry, one of the things that we need as facilitators to monitor against is this idea that we're there to fix anybody. I even think it's problematic to see a client or someone who you're working with as needing help. So as strange as that sounds, because again, we both know if someone's paying me to do inquiry with them, most people don't pay someone to sit down with them for an hour on Zoom for no reason at all, right? So again, this is where I hope you guys can listen to this all with a degree of sophistication, okay? Because again, when you take these things too literally, you end up with a lot of the problems that religions have. Religions are great examples of people not understanding spiritual teachings as the original teacher intended. Even though I'm saying this in this video, some of you will probably still not take this as intended, okay? So people pay me, I do inquiry with them, and they find it helpful. I know this on one level. They know this on one level. They're not paying me and coming to me for no reason. But you might say on a deeper level, I hold their perfection and their strength in mind. I hold that they don't really need me. In a sense, we're playing a game. In a sense, we're playing our parts. In a sense, we are enjoying this drama where you pretend to need me and I pretend to help you. And it's a beautiful thing, right? Think of the last movie that you saw that was really impactful for you, okay? And in that movie, what you saw were a lot of people pretending. pretending to be one thing that they're not, pretending to need things that they don't need really, pretending to withhold or to give those very things. And it was great, wasn't it? I'm talking about a movie that you love, that you were moved by, that you found impactful, meaningful. So when we watch a movie, we can enjoy the drama, right? Because we have a level of separation there. And when in life, we can also enjoy the drama. And in my teaching, what I try to teach you is this is the point. We're supposed to enjoy it, folks. So one question we can ask ourselves is, are we having fun yet? Are you having fun yet? Are you enjoying the ride yet? Because if the answer is no, then again, spirituality has a lot to teach us and to give us. We want to enjoy the whole thing, the helping, the being helped. Again, this is why one of the tests you have for your relationship with helping others is it causing you suffering? Is it causing you to suffer? Are you suffering so that others don't have to? Is that how you're seeing it? I give up all of my joy so that this little person or my partner doesn't have to suffer. This is not truth. This is not how it actually has to be, but many of us may believe this somewhere in our mind. So once again, everyone, question these beliefs. Doing that is called inquiry. Now again, there are different forms of inquiry. I learned a very specific, powerful form from my teacher, Paul Grilly. I paid a lot of money to learn it. I'm still learning. It's an ongoing process, but I'm now certified. And so I can help you. I've helped many people. So if you're interested in doing it in a formal way, you don't have to do it formally. And it is something that you can learn to do on your own. Even the method that I learned how to facilitate others, but people can learn to facilitate themselves. But most people find it helpful, useful to do some sessions with someone who's certified. So if you're interested in that, please do reach out. This isn't meant to be a sales pitch. I am just trying to let my longtime students know, though, that this is a resource that you have. But regardless of that, question your beliefs about being a good parent. Question your beliefs about being a good partner, about being a good teacher, about what it means to really love someone or show up for someone. What do you believe? And again, this goes both ways. When I counsel people in relationships, I often find that one of or both of the people in the relationship are assuming that something like taking out the trash or doing what is asked or anticipating needs equals love. So when those things don't happen in the relationship, they say, well, I would do those things for my partner, so the fact that my partner's not doing it for me, I love my partner and I would do that for my partner. So the fact that they're not doing it for me, that equals they don't love me. Now again, couldn't be further from the truth. We, as human beings, often try and tie certain behaviors with equals love. Somebody does certain things, that equals love. That means they love me. No. This is not my experience at all. Okay? In a very real sense, love is everywhere. Everything is love. You are love. And if you don't know yourself as love yet, again, I would take the time, take the energy to find that out. because that is how you are going to be of most service to this world. And I'll say this, I think the world desperately needs you to know that. Your children, your spouse, your co-workers, the planet itself needs you to know how full of love you are and how easily you can access peace. Because when you know that, it really changes everything. And again, it may change things in a way that you don't expect. Again, I'll say this, sometimes love and compassion don't look the way we expect. So again, many of us, you might look at me and say, oh, well, he's not loving and compassionate because he's not doing this or that. But again, when I do certain things, I might be teaching something that I don't want to teach. Again, dependency, that someone's a victim, that somebody needs me. So I share a lot. I love in the way that I know how to love. I love in the capacity that I can love. And I also love myself. And this was actually my main intention in today's video, is take the time to love yourself. And for me, I think the best way you can do that, again, is to nourish your connection with your true self, your true nature. How do you do that? Through certain spiritual practices. Which ones? It changes. I wish I could just give you a formula. And many teachers do, right? They teach one thing. They teach you a meditation. They say, just do this meditation. They teach you postures, or they teach you pranayama, or they teach you some philosophy, and they tell you this one thing is going to do it. I don't believe that. It's an art. It's not a science. Depending on what's going on in your life, it may be very nuanced. And again, this is something else you can reach out to me about. If you're unsure about what sorts of practices might help you nourish your connection with spirit. So again, while nourishing spirit is not the same thing as just taking care of yourself, physically, I will say, why wouldn't we take care of ourselves physically? What am I saying to the world and to myself when I say I don't have time to take care of myself? I don't have money to take care of myself. That's a luxury I can't afford. These people need me. Think about that, okay? Think about what that says about how you see the world, about how you see yourself, about how you see others. And again, I love the way Course in Miracles asks us to question those beliefs, and in most instances to simply reverse them. And what the Course is teaching us or pointing to is that by doing that, we turn earth into heaven. We bring heaven to earth. Okay, we bring heaven to earth not by feeding every poor person or by saving the dolphins or the whales. There's nothing wrong with those things. I do think our planet needs a little bit of love, but this isn't what ultimately we need. We need to save ourselves. And we do that again by finding and connecting with our true nature. So I know many of you have connected with your true nature, at least you felt that. And so again, the real challenge, because many people experience that on retreat. They experience that on a getaway. They experience it in yoga class. So the challenge for us, and it can take time, so don't be impatient and don't get frustrated, but the challenge for us is to learn to stay connected always. And I can tell you ultimately, once you really understand your true nature and the nature of what's going on here, it gets really easy. In fact, you eventually find that you simply cannot disconnect, no matter what, no matter how hard you try. And so that's a nice place to get to. And I hope to lead you all there if I can. I hope to be a guide and aid to help you get there if you need that help. All right, everybody. So I hope you got something from this as always. Again, I believe in your strength, your power, your connection. And I also, as a form and a human being, I also need help, and I need help from you. And that's always been the case in spirituality, tithing, giving, donating. And as most of you know, that's how I've tried to set up shop these days. So while there are services that I do charge for, there are certain things that if we're going to work together over a long period of time, if you're going to come on retreat, there's certain things that I just simply have to charge for. But a lot of this content, and I do a lot of work just free of charge, donation based. It's up to you to decide that it has value. And if you're ever, I've heard some people say that they're afraid to reach out to me or ask for help because they're not sure what, they should be paying me or whatever it is. You can simply ask. If you're ever, you need my help, you reach out, you want to donate something, I do have sort of a standard rate that I work at. So you can always just simply ask. It's easy. And I will give you my thoughts on it. And then it's up to you whether you choose to follow through with that or not. Anyway, everyone, the main thing for me is to try and be of service. Again, this doesn't bring me suffering. It brings me a lot of joy. And not because I get a lot of positive feedback or anything like that. I will say as a human being, it is enjoyable, but it certainly isn't the main motivation. I could get a lot more by doing other things, pursuing things in other ways. So my main motivation, again, is love and compassion sharing. So I hope I was able to do that today. Thank you all, and until next time, namaste, and have a great day.